If you want to start getting more money, you need to move before you're ready, and then the universe will catch up and pay you. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to crush your overthinking and actually make real progress towards getting more money. How do I know this works? I went from being broke on a basement floor to a top 1% earner in less than 2 years because I moved before I felt ready. Now I teach my clients how to close $1,000, $2,000, $4,000 sales in their business, as well as have $20,000 weeks. Today, I'm going to guide you through 4 mental shifts that will help you finally take action to earn more money and become the person you know you can be. Let's get into it. Firstly, you need to understand how the universe pays you if you actually want to get paid. The universe works off of equivalent exchange. For every down, there is an up. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. This is Newton's law and a law of the universe. You only get paid when you solve other people's problems. You need to find a way to turn pain into pleasure. For instance, when you work a job, you're solving your employer's pain. One of the first jobs I had was doing some construction work for an older gentleman named Lawrence. When I was 17, I brought my resume to a paint store called Color Your World, and they said they'd call me back, which they obviously didn't. But as I was leaving the store and walking to the bus stop, a Ford F-150 pickup truck pulls up beside me, and I'm thinking, who the hell is this? And I'm getting ready to knuckle up because I don't know what's going on here. But this older, rather petite man, he says, "Hey, you want a job?" And I go, "Yeah." He says, "It's construction." I go, "Okay." And we exchange numbers. And the next day, I go to my first job site. It's an office building. It's uptown in Toronto that needed carpets replaced. And I spent hours peeling carpet tiles off the ground. And then at the end, I was paid like $100, which was great at the time. It was like $20 an hour work, which was big for me. That was like 2009, 2010. 17 years old, just got paid $100. That was good. So my employer, Lawrence, he was an older gentleman who was ready to retire, and he couldn't crush his back getting all these tiles peeled off the ground, so he hired me, a strong, youthful 17-year-old, to do the work for him. So I was literally solving Lawrence's pain, in this case, back pain and time. So he paid me. So you need to ask yourself, what can I do that can actually help other people? What do I know that is useful to others? What problem can I solve? Because the universe pays people who help other people. No money is exchanged without a problem being solved. Always. You go to the grocery store, you're solving the problem of hunger and death. If you do not eat, you are going to pass away. Even if a girl has a sugar daddy, for instance, that just pays her money and she might not even have to do anything, right? Just like send him a couple text messages or something. That is still a problem being solved. He has a problem with attention from women, so he's paying for it. Problem being solved. That is how money exchanges always. So when you learn how to solve problems, you become the person money likes and the type of person other people like to pay. But Seth, what if I know I can solve a problem? What if I know I can help people, but I still can't start my business? I just don't feel ready. I just need to feel ready and then I'll start. Well, let me explain why you need to move before you feel ready. You need to move before you feel ready because of one of the most important attributes of the universe, and that is speed. If you want to change your current physical reality, in this case, the amount of money you have, you need to start defying your physical reality, and speed does this. Speed defies the physical plane and totally warps it. The faster you move, the sooner you get paid. And in order to understand this, you need to understand the structure of the universe. So we live in a physical, mental, and spiritual universe. The peak of the spiritual plane is what the Hermetics call the All, or the Christians call God, or the Muslims call Allah, the Hindus call Brahma, and atheists call the Big Bang, or Yoda calls the Force, if you're into that. Now, each plane has a different rate of vibration, physical being the slowest and spiritual being the fastest. So your mind can envision living in a mansion instantly because it's closer to the spiritual plane. Therefore, it can create things and envision things and manifest things much faster. So if you want to materialize something into reality, you need to act as God acts, and that is with speed. If God says something to be done, it is done instantly. By moving with speed, even though you think you're not ready, you'll be discovering what's necessary for you to earn money, because you're going to earn money differently than everyone else, even if you're in the same business. So what do I mean by this? When you move with speed, you increase your awareness. So I once trained for a boxing fight, and I had an actual boxing match. And I was someone who would watch boxing and enjoy it and then think, that doesn't look that hard. But I was dangerously unaware. Once I started training, I learned how much was involved and how skilled professional boxers really are. When you don't start moving towards a goal or working on building your business, you're doing the equivalent of what I was doing before I started training. You're being an armchair quarterback, as they say, or an armchair boxer in this case. When you actually start doing something, you become more aware. Awareness is actually your frequency. Frequency has less to do with how you feel and more to do with what you're actually aware of. The richest people in the world are highly aware of themselves and of reality. Ray Dalio, who has a $15.4 billion net worth, had an interview with Steven Bartlett on Diary of a CEO. And I'm paraphrasing what he said, but he said something along the lines of, I do my best to be as aware of reality as possible. This man's worth $15.4 billion. Awareness. So sure, you can become a bit more aware by reading and consuming knowledge, but the greatest levels of awareness come from actually doing something. You're never going to learn how to play basketball if you don't pick up the ball. You're never going to learn how to make more money if you don't start providing more value in the world and solving people's problems. You won't experience earning more money unless you actually do something. So the question is then, you know you need to do something, so why don't you take action? And you don't take action because of the fourth law of the universe, and that law is polarity. There's no light without dark. There's no hot without cold. There's no up without down. You get the point. Now, your brain has two small structures close to your hippocampus, and these two structures are called your amygdala. They're close to your hippocampus, which is responsible for episodic memory. Your amygdala is your animal brain. It tries to avoid predators and seek prey. It tries to escape sadness and seek happiness. It tries to escape fear and seek fantasy. It tries to escape shame and seek pride. You get the idea. It's a polarized element of the brain left from our animal evolution to help us survive. So the reason you don't move is because your amygdala is determined that it's unsafe to take action, and therefore you're scared to move before you think you're ready. Your fear manifests as overthinking, and then overthinking simply paralyzes you, and then you don't do anything and nothing changes. And I just want you to understand that what you're afraid of when it comes to business and earning money is entirely not real. If you send a message to someone and try to get them to buy something and they say no, your life is not going to end. In fact, you're going to be better off because you're going to be one step closer to someone saying yes. If you make a piece of Instagram content and no one sees it, your life is not going to end. You'll actually once again be better off because you're one step closer to making better content. But it's simple enough for me to say that, but you still might be overthinking. So to overcome this, there are a few things you can do, and I'll tell you how I overcame them myself, because I too used to ruminate and overthink all the time, and still sometimes do. I often need to muster my power just to say, brain, shut up and just act. So one of the biggest things that causes your overthinking is that you're not in enough pain or resentment to make a change. If your arm is cut off, you're going to want to solve that right away. That's a tremendous amount of pain. It needs to get dealt with. So if you really don't care to earn more money, then you simply won't do it. When I was broke, on the basement floor, sick, in debt, ashamed of myself, that's when I decided enough is enough, and I changed my life despite what anyone thought of me. Now, I made a lot of money in a rather taboo industry. I managed creators in the online adult industry, and I didn't care what other people thought of me. Well, I did care what other people thought of me, but it didn't matter because I was in tremendous amounts of pain and I wanted to get paid. So if you're in enough pain, you won't overthink, you'll act. Now, the second thing to stop your overthinking is your values. If you don't value earning more money or business or wealth creation, you're simply not going to do it. Now, I teach people through universal laws how to earn more money through online service or education-based businesses. And then you then take that money that you earn from that business online, implement a strategy to turn that into wealth. The people who work with me who get the best results have an actual value on earning more money. If you don't value earning more money or building a business, I'm going to be honest with you, you're just going to overthink it and you're not going to take action. There is hope though, because anything you value can be turned into money. And the third thing is network. And this is very, very powerful. There's negative peer pressure and positive peer pressure. There are downward spirals and upward spirals. Frequency is contagious. If you're around a bunch of entrepreneurs every day, all figuring out how to get more money, you're going to learn how to get more money and you're going to be more confident in taking the action to do it. In 2021, I started hanging out with a lot more entrepreneurs, and I would go to dinners, and the conversations that were being had were insane. People were closing $1 million deals, $2 million oil and gas deals, $60,000 coaching deals, software companies, all this type of stuff. Money getting talked about everywhere. And it just became so nonchalant. Like someone would mention, oh yeah, someone paid $20,000 for this. And in my head, I'm thinking, I can't even make $20,000 a year. And he's just talking about it nonchalantly, made it in a day. So what that does is it normalizes big amounts of money for you. It depedestalizes larger amounts of money for you, and you get frequency contagion. You're going to overthink less because everyone else around you has the frequency of earning money. So now that you know how to start moving before you're ready, it's time to figure out exactly what you can do to start earning money with all this new momentum. And to do that, check out this video to learn the timeless business model based in universal laws that will get you paid.